So now that we've covered quite a vast amount of topics when it comes to compliance and legal teams, looking into the future, what do you really think are going to be the next few challenges that compliance and legal teams are facing within the archiving space, and really around emerging technologies as well?
So I think, right, let's just take stock. So right now, these functions are being hit by two tsunamis of change. There's the belated cloud migration, which we touched on earlier, and then of course, how do I adopt AI and get it working in the organization? So that's for sure. People who trade talk about the trend is your friend, and I think that's going to be very much true. So I think we're going to see simply more data types, riches of data, and other types of data becoming available. So what's the challenge? Well, the challenge is going to be one of managing that. I have no doubt that we can do that. We've seen that. We know how to manage that problem. It is just a manageable problem. I think the real issue is going to be, at some point, senior executives and firms are going to go and say, we're spending, huge amount of money on this. And of course, I know we have to spend it because it's a regulatory requirement and we do it and we need to do it. Is there no value in it? So the idea of getting value, I think, is going to be the key next challenging wave. And with that is going to come technical challenges, but we're geared up to deal with them now because we've got, as I said earlier, our whole solution is, to use an old-fashioned phrase, a big data AI solution at its core, with other solutions built on top of it, as opposed to trying to put modern technology on top of old mechanics. Right, so that's important. But the challenge is going to be for the organization is to see those opportunities and then seize those opportunities. So seeing them, I think that's happening. I would say at this stage, maybe 1 in 5 customers proactively ask about this. So they're definitely thinking about it. Another set, maybe 1 in 5 or 1 in 10 have actually attempted it. And so far they've had various degrees of success. But the challenge is going to require continuous innovation on our side to enable these organizations to A, manage the data, and B, perform the analytics, not just AI, just even analytics on the data to get the value from it, and then AI to get more value from it. And that will bring value in terms of better insight and cost reduction to the compliance and legal functions who operate this technology. But actually, I believe it's going to bring an additional kind of value. So for example, if you've got a customer-facing business, all of your customer communications are there. So actually, can you look for early signs of customer dissatisfaction and head those problems off early on? Can you align different styles of selling people to different kinds of customers, different kinds of support to different kinds of customers? Can you preempt maybe the needs of a customer? So there's a whole world of value based off, I think, AI is the exciting bit, but just even good old-fashioned analytics. But you need a platform that can perform and can do the data science. And that's like, just as I mentioned earlier, we have the ability to give our customers a data science environment within that secure archive. And that just mitigates a whole slew of risks for an organization. So I think that's the biggest single challenge, is extracting commercial value, not just compliance value, from this data set.
Yeah, we, less on the legal compliance archiving space, but we do see a lot of organizations looking for that alpha generation, or looking for what else can we do with this data. There's some hedge funds that we work with who are building war rooms just to be able to look at the insights, not just from legal and compliance, but also how does that overlay with trading data. And that in general gives them a good picture of where they need to go. So we think that commercial element is going to be incredibly important for firms going forward, because they're going to stop seeing compliance as just a back office function, but also how do we take this data that already exists within our organizations, that already is being reviewed, already is in a data source, already has insights running on it, and how do we actually just layer that with more information that can actually help us commercially, versus it's going to be stagnant and die in that archive.
Yeah, I mean, we provide in our ecosystem the backbone to achieve that, okay? And I think it's really, really interesting. It's a fundamental has changed. So 30, 40 years ago, there was an economist called Michael Porter who was very famous, and he talked about the information content of a product and on a process in today's world, everything has a high information content, right? So again, one of my pet things is photography. So once upon a time, a camera, the only bit of data in the camera was the thing that was captured on the film. Today, cameras are measuring light and doing all sorts of things. Everything is rich in data. What can you do with that data? That is the fundamental challenge. And I think it comes down to mindset ultimately, and appetite for the future. Because if you see yourself as an engineering company first and not an information company, or if you see yourself as a finance company and not an information, all industry is information industry, everything. You need to see that. And the minute you see that we are an information organization in shipbuilding, or we're information organization in pharmaceutical, or in banking, or in travel, or in airline, whatever it happens to be, the minute you understand that information is the core of everything you do, that then suddenly changes your whole perspective. And that then enables you to kind of say, oh, right, if I had the right technology, I can extract the value. So it comes back to that value extraction challenge.
Yeah, we talked about it commercially, but I know there's some organizations we work with who look at it culturally too, which is how do we use the data to culturally shift what's happening within our firm, from a hiring perspective, from having the right people, to actually eliminating bad apples, because you're able to see trend analysis across different areas of the organization. So, I mean, that is commercial in one way,
Yep,
but it's cultural too.
Yeah, it's cultural, but it's also actually, when you think about it, cost efficiency, right? So if we can identify areas of, just call it poor performance, whether it be people or anything else, we can address them, we can correct it. So you can have early correction. So early correction of some bad conduct is much cheaper and much better for everybody than late correction of a crisis. So yeah, absolutely. It's just there's a myriad of ways. But people make up organizations, and people are complex things. So organizations are massively complex. And the one place where you formally gather information about what's going on is in unstructured data. It's not the transactional data. It's the good old fashioned who said what to whom, when, what were they talking about, whatever, where, and it is just incredibly valuable. So it is the future, and we're seeing it coming. It's a minority of firms today, but just as I can remember 10 years ago being at the board of a particular bank, and somebody joked about it. Imagine if I went to the regulator and told their data was in the cloud, and everyone burst out laughing. 5-10 years from now, this will be the norm, and the firms that haven't done it will be the ones that get acquired or go out of business.